let's take a look at, again, what we're going to be talking about this morning, which is going to be next generation tools. So this is, we've already gone through 3D modeling, we've gone through 2D drawings, we've gone through a number of the kind of core SOLIDWORKS enhancements. And now we're going to talk about next generation tools that are ancillary or complementary to SOLIDWORKS that we've known and loved since 1995. The first thing I want to call your attention to is that, you know, in the past, we've done like one annual release, and we had what we called service packs in between that would fix bugs that were needed to be fixed along the way between major release X and major release X+1. But what we've done is we've evolved this release situation so that now we have what we call general availability. You can call it Service Pack 0 if you like. But so we had 2024 GA about a year ago, and then we're about to have 2025 GA in about a month from now, so that 2025 will be released. But in between there, in this year in between, we've had over 200 enhancements and performance upgrades delivered throughout this year. So we're not just waiting till the next major release to put new functionality or performance enhancements in SOLIDWORKS anymore. What we're doing, we're still doing major releases, and we're still doing rollouts, kind of showing what's new. But some of the stuff you're going to notice that's what's new that I'm going to highlight actually came out a couple FDs ago. Functional delivery is what that's called now. Again, used to be service packs. Now we call them functional deliveries. So we've had, you know, FD, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. That just 4 just came out, which would be like the 5th service pack if you count GA as SP0 kind of thing, right? So anyway, that's what we're talking about now. It's not just we wait. If there's new functionality or a performance enhancement code that is ready to go, we're going to deliver that as soon as possible and not just wait till the arbitrary end of the year to put it in there in one big mass release. So that's an evolution that you're seeing now, and you're also going to see that as we go forward. With that, we're going to turn our attention now to this episode, episode 3. We're going to be talking about the next generation tools in the guise of SOLIDWORKS Cloud, DraftSight, and SOLIDWORKS Ultimate. Now, SOLIDWORKS Cloud is what Dassault calls it. These are the X applications. They're not exactly SOLIDWORKS. They're the future kind of, hey, what do we do when we don't use Windows anymore or whatever? We want to be cloud-based completely in a browser. That's the X applications, and there's a bunch of different ones out there that have different functions and they have different names. Collectively, they're calling it SOLIDWORKS Cloud. I'm not super wild about that, to be honest, but that's what we're talking about. So we're talking about X-Shape, which is our subdivisional easy type surface modeling, but super advanced. We're talking about some of the enhancements that we've made to that, which are very, very much user driven, making things easier and also more familiar to more CAD-like workflows that we've done in the past. Also in our X Design app, which is more of the part and assembly type app, we have a lot of new things there. Again, some of these you recognize that have been in SOLIDWORKS for a while that have made it into in X Design there. I also want to touch on the X drawing. So, you know, some people were like, well, once you get into cloud-based, browser-based 3D modeling, you're not going to need drawings. I remember people early on in SOLIDWORKS back in early 1995 and 96 thinking the same thing with SOLIDWORKS. Of course, we always need drawings. So we do have a browser-based app, and it's getting enhanced all the time to be and useful as what we're used to in the desktop side. First thing I want to talk about is the communication. Right inside the X apps, we have all the collaboration tools built in. I get notifications. I can go right into my collaboration conversations. I can share things directly in there, not just screenshots, but also markups. I can go into communities, all that right inside of my X app, right inside that design interface. Also, this is very welcome. We have a content tab now where you can just go in there and see all your stuff in 3D Space or 3D Drive or your bookmark area without having to have separate widgets and go to different panels and different tabs in your browser. They're right there kind of where you want them to be. Now, another nice thing, again, coming from the 2D SOLIDWORKS world or the traditional SOLIDWORKS world is we can now take sketches and extrude primitive items right into sub-D surfaces. So I can draw a shape and then right away I'm gonna give me a sub-D surface out of that. And I'm right in the sub-D modeling environment as I do that. So I can go in there and do my creases and the corners and symmetry, fill edges, all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of like I draw a sketch and then boom, I extrude it into a sub-D primitive of a unique type, its own one, and then I'm right in there doing sub-D modifications on it. So again, a little bit more of a traditional workflow meets subdivisional modeling. And then also in the sub-D environment, we've kind of have a new, what we call a modifier robot. The robot's the what we call a triad or whatever, but it's intuitive and it's context sensitive. So depending on what I have grabbed and where I'm moving things to, it's going to add material or it's going to insert loops, okay, or it's going to create subdivision, all with one robot. And it's just a simple A key, activate on your keyboard, the shortcut to turn it on, and you grab stuff and then move the robot and it's going to do any of those commands intuitively and automatically depending on how you use it. We also have command search like we do in SOLIDWORKS, so the S key will do that. And it's going to also bring up the revolve primitive, just like we had the extrude primitive here that's new. So I can go ahead and revolve primitive based on a sketch, and that's going to give me right away a subdivisional surface I can modify immediately. Also, very welcome, we now have a merge command here, so you can merge the surfaces together. Just be careful that you have an equal number of edge loops between the two open edges for the best results. Kind of like when you're lofting, same kind of thing, but with sub-D surfacing. When you apply a merge, right away have a new surface that you can immediately work on. It's active, but it also keeps your old surfaces in the tree, so you can use those and reuse those anytime you want to. And you can, apply your typical things to move the shapes around with a robot. You can do the influence to grab certain areas and change the influence of what you're moving around. And we have a new mesh inspection tool, which will help us see any creases or any areas where there's going to be a problem where the cage is not uniform. And you can look at it this way, but what's also cool about this is that you can sculpt while this is active. So you don't have, before you like turn on the thing, see what the problem is, turn it off, do the sculpting, turn it back on, see if you fixed it. This is all in one shot. It's much more intuitive to do that kind of work. We also have an image to sketch tool now. So you take a 2D image like a JPEG or something, and you can convert it to a sketch with sketch elements that you can use for extrusions or whatever. Best to use graphics that are high contrast. So, light on black is the best versus gradients. And also the higher resolution, the better it works. So like a 4K image is better than a 800 by 600 image. We also improve some of the external geometry referencing in here. So if I'm modifying a sub-D item here, I can reference it to non-sub-D elements like the edge of this sheet metal piece, for example. And I can also select sketches from multiple physical products if I want to, like in an assembly sort of situation, so I don't have to duplicate the geometry to be able to reference these things. It's, again, a lot more intuitive, more SOLIDWORKS-like, I guess you could say that way. And then also, I could choose a sketch from whatever component I want anywhere in any of the physical products or parts, if you will, and I can base a cutout from that, for example. And I can either break the relation or I can leave the relation intact, so that if the sketch is gets changed, if there's something that updates or whatever, then it's going to automatically update from there when I update command and say, okay, go ahead and fix that up, and we'll have the new sketch geometry as well as the new feature geometry based on that. Creating patterns, linear or circular, are easier now because we have an on-screen kind of graphic display for those. So you can easily kind of intuitively do that or type in the numbers. We can skip instances we want to. And also we have now a DFM helper, just sort of looks at the reality check. So like things like minimal wall thicknesses, or if I'm looking for a closed cavity type stuff, I want to make sure I have something like that for a molded part, or I can look for holes that, a certain range of sizes, you can't, so people are doing needing specialty fasteners, that kind of stuff. So it's a DFM helper that's sort of built in here with the X apps here. And then also we can insert environment envelopes and assemblies so that you can grab an environment and there's some built-in ones you can modify your own kind of thing. And you can throw these things in an environment. It's a 3D model basically, but it's not part of your design as such. You can manipulate the items in the environment in space, and you can turn them off and things like that. Just a quick way to sort of put your actual product into an environment, for props and things like that, which is great for things like rendering and whatnot. Now, assemblies have been upgraded in a number of different ways. The insert component command remembers the things you've been recently working on, so you don't always have to search. You just insert it and like, oh yeah, that's the thing you just were working on, so we'll make that available for the insert command. Smart mates still simplify things by adding mates while dragging and dropping. You can also use a zoom to selection while you're doing this now to just kind of help get into where you're working with, just kind of isolates that and zooms you in there. Also in assemblies, when you isolate components, you can now isolate with dependents, so you can show things that are attached to it, dependencies, intuitively and quickly, as opposed to like remembering what they are and individually doing that through the tree or the graphics window. Now let's look at the X drawing tool, which allows us to make 2D drawings or 3D MBD type documents right in a browser. So a lot of enhancements are going to the 2D side. To be honest, it's what people are looking for. So we can create views in 2D or 3D. We can go ahead and do the typical annotations that we normally would based on the standards that we're using in our drawings. So again, I'm using an ISO standard here for this. Add dimensions as you normally would. Also, we can create whole callouts. You can leverage stuff from the model in 3D as well and use those in our drawing. And anything that we do in the 2D side, we're actually doing it in the model. So it's actually captured in the 3D side so that you can actually use it for MBD workflows. So in SOLIDWORKS CAD and MBD and drawings, they're separate items. If you do MBD stuff, you can show them in your drawing, but not the other way around. In X drawing, you're actually working on the model even though you're working in the views. So when you add annotations to your drawings, your 2D drawing views, they're also available in the 3D model automatically. So that's a very cool new paradigm to be working in when you're doing documentation of your models. Which again, we have the same kind of thing we had before. And again, it's intelligent, so it knows you're in a drawing mode or in a 3D mode. We can now have bend tables, and I'm going to put this right, I'm doing this right in the 3D model environment, again, to show different things here. When I flatten it, show a bend table here. When I go into X drawing, all that stuff is available in that flattened view from the 2D or the 3D model. So again, yes, X drawing has a lot of room to grow in terms of functionality and being able to do all the myriad kinds of specialty annotations and things that we've enjoyed with SOLIDWORKS drawings being around for 33 releases. But understand that for this future state, X drawing is a different way of looking at your model, but it truly is actually working with the model in the background. So again, you don't have this divide between 3D annotations and 2D annotations. Whichever app you're working with, whatever you do in one, then the 3D side goes to the 2D side or vice versa. It's a very cool way to be able to work. And the last thing I want to highlight in the SOLIDWORKS Cloud offerings is X Studio. We have X Sheet Metal and other things too, but X Studio is sort of like, you know, an unsung hero in that you can actually do nice photorealistic renderings in X Studio, but you're in a browser again. So it's, again, not having to work on a local machine, take up all the resources there. And you can do, you know, you can't do everything that Visualize Pro can do at this point, but you can do quite a lot. And you're just trying to get some nice materials put on things, some nice camera effects, being able to really quickly get the kind of standard orientation and size and aspect ratio and just pop out some quick renderings. You can actually, right inside your browser, do that with the X Studio app. That's, again, part of the what we're calling the SOLIDWORKS Cloud suite of browser-based tools. So that's SOLIDWORKS Cloud, the X apps and some of the enhancements there. And now I want to just talk about, I'm going to talk about DraftSight. So this I also say is a next generation tool because, yes, it looks like the 2D CAD that you may have used in past jobs or college or high school even or whatever, but it's evolving to be 2D CAD, traditional 2D CAD plus. So you're seeing a lot of that enhancements here in 2025 for DraftSight, like Premium, for example. So a lot of niceties here, again, from just 2D and 3D. So for example, in DraftSight Premium here, I'm got 3D as part of it. So if I want to bring in a 3D step file, I can do that. Bring that in, place it. It'll be at the origin orientation, and then of course I can move it around as like a block kind of thing. Also, before there was SOLIDWORKS, there was MicroStation for me. Ask me or my brother about that. We can now export to DGN format, which is the MicroStation format from Bentley Systems and previously to that Intergraph Corporation. A lot of AEC houses, a lot of architectural firms and things have been using MicroStation and still do. So this is a welcome addition to that. Also, we have custom block visibility. So when you do custom blocks, is little controls, so I can switch like, hey, I'm doing 2 drawers or no drawers, or how many doors, that kind of stuff. You can do that right inside there. And then also we have, if you want, a menu bar that's persistent. So pull that up there, and now it's at the top, and you can have that if you like that kind of more old school sort of way of interacting. We have a palette now that shows the block structures, so you can turn them on, hide them, organize them, or even isolate blocks, or even you can work with blocks inside of blocks, which is a thing in the DWG world. So you have access to all that in a nice sort of tree organizational palette. And then also another cool thing is sometimes you get drawings where things are all different, like Z heights. You can actually now, if you want to, grab a bunch of stuff, or everything in this case, and push a button, and it'll go ahead and put them all on the main level there that you define, and one place, one Z height. Also for 3D, you have different visual styles. So like, shaded with edges or not. We now have a manager that lets you kind of have presets. You can make your own presets as well, and you can modify these as you wish if you're working with things like a DTM or something like that. And then we also have a nice little spacing command for dimensions. So I can grab a dimension and a bunch of others and say, go ahead and space them using the first one as the sort of target, and bring these other dimensions to it. So it's a very quick way to organize the positioning of dimensions that are stacked up. And we have a lot of enhancements to tables. So like, for example, we can do automatic formulas. My favorite thing here is the table break. It's intelligent and it's interactive. So as I pull up columns on the rows on one, it goes down the other one, etc. And of course, you have other things like formatting for cells and rows and things like that. And then all these dimension styles that you can create inside DraftSight, we now have a manager where you can actually do it all at once, create new ones, modify ones, and then from here you can also share them out so other people can load them into their DraftSight and use them as well. So a lot of cool enhancements to DraftSight. And then the last thing I want to talk about, it's not going to be a bunch of screen captures that I've done or anything like that. But I want to talk to you about a new version, I guess, a new level of SOLIDWORks offer, as we call them now. So you're familiar with SOLIDWORks Standard, SOLIDWORks Professional, SOLIDWORks Premium. Those have been the three sort of levels we've had for many, many years. Now we have a fourth level called SOLIDWORks Ultimate. And what SOLIDWORks Ultimate is it's first and foremost, it is 3D Experience SOLIDWORks Premium. So it comes with all the things that SOLIDWORks Premium comes with, and then 3D Experience SOLIDWORks Premium offer comes with what traditionally would be with SOLIDWORks Premium plus a number of, not all, but a number of the X apps. So Sculptor, the mold creator, the manufacturing definition creator, i.e. the MVD thing, etc. So it comes with that stuff. So you have that sort of robust and efficient design. Again, most people are going to be using SolidWorks if they have it. But if you want to go into a browser, again, especially for X-Shape, for example, for the sub-D modeling, that's really a good complement. But it's all there. But also you get, again, stuff in simulation, collaboration, marketing, manufacturing, all that. So you're going to get SolidWorks Simulation Designer and Motion, 3D Motion Creator and Structural Designer. So some really nice, robust simulation tools, as well as some collaboration tools like Project Planner and Lean Team Player, and those kind of things. Of course, access to 3D Swim. So that's all part of it, as well as being able to manage with being able to do product definitions and things like that right inside of the platform. And in the marketing side, you get SolidWorks Visualize, as well as that browser-based 3D rendering tools, as well as a couple other ones, Product Communicators, sort of a light version of Composer in a browser if you wish, and Demonstrator, sort of another opposite side of that. So you get some of that as well, and also NC Shop Floor Programmer, which, by the way, everyone gets, but it's part of this as well in 2025. So what you get is all these tools. Now, is anybody going to be using all of these? Any one person? And again, this is licensed to one person, so it's not like these are like a thing you divvy out to other people. So who, Jeff, would use all of these things? My answer is probably no one. Maybe someone like me that works for a reseller or something might, do that. But most people who are doing, structural design and things like that aren't going to be necessarily doing lean team stuff or product planning or doing product releases. However, what this is it's a one-stop, because people like the standard pro and premium, sort of here's a price. If I use any two of the things in there, it's worth it versus buying them separately, that kind of thing. That's the idea with SOLIDWORks Ultimate. So again, I don't anticipate anybody saying I'm going to have a suite of Ultimate and I'm going to use everything in Ultimate myself. But what is going to happen is people who are going to be doing SOLIDWORks design, maybe some simulation, and maybe they also do some stuff, or maybe they also do a little bit of SOLIDWORks and a little bit of the modeling, but they do the product planning and they do the product releases and things like that. So it's a way to, again, deliver that functional bundle of tools in a very, very cost-effective way, and a simple way to order and license it. So that's what SOLIDWORks Ultimate is all about. So that takes us through all the topics today for our, well, I'm going to call them 30-minute podcasts now, because we want to do 20, but they always go about 30. But so that little bite-sized chunk we've done today, we've looked at the next generation tools. And then next week, our next episode is going to be all about what's new in data management, specifically SOLIDWORks PDM and SOLIDWORks Manage.